You think you're going to hear a conversation tonight about expanding Social Security on the Republican debate? About how people are not even getting cost of living raises, and yet the cost of pharmaceuticals are going through the roof because we're allowing them to advertise on TV, and because things like the TPP will extend patents even longer, because people like, the Weasley little parasite who bought the pharmaceutical company and jacked the prices up, for the pills to thousands of dollars for poor people with AIDS. I mean, this is... None of that is going to be discussed tonight. It's going to be fear, 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 fear. And there's just something fundamentally wrong with that. So what should be the important issues that we should be talking about? It seems to me, fairly straightforward. We've got too many guns in this country. At least we've got too many, I shouldn't say guns, I should say we have too many weapons of war in the hands of civilians in this country. Number one. Number two, we've got a policing culture that is, shall we say, unusual by the standards of the civilized world. Other countries don't have anything close to the level of police killings, that is, killings by police of civilians, that we have here in the United States. Even countries with higher crime rates than us don't have that level of police killings. I mean, in Scotland, 98% of the cops do not carry weapons. Only 2%. And it's just, is that going to be discussed tonight? Somehow, I don't think so. We've got now the LA public schools. It's going to be wall to wall on all of the television stations because, be afraid, be very afraid. Sells well. It sells well. It's fear. Fear is a primal emotion. Fear is there are, back to NLP 101, there are two basic ways to motivate human behavior. And this is the problem over the short term, and maybe a benefit over the long term to somebody like Bernie Sanders, should he get the nomination, the Democratic nomination. The two ways to motivate people. We are never standing still. We are always doing one of two things. We are always either moving away from pain or moving toward pleasure. Now, some people, everybody internalizes those as motivation strategies. And you can figure out generally people's motivation strategies just by listening to them talk long enough. People who criticize themselves a lot, people who, oh, damn, I shouldn't have done that, and rah, things like that. They have a strong internal moving away from pain system. And the benefit of that over the short term for like a 3-year-old, right? Don't touch the stove, you'll burn your hand. Is that learning how to move away from pain when there's a lot of potential pain out there in the world and the world is dangerous is an important thing. It's why it's way down below our limbic brain and our brainstem, in our primal brain. And it produces an instant response. It's like electricity, like lightning. You present somebody with pain, they back off, just like that. So that's one strategy to motivate people. The other strategy to motivate people is moving toward pleasure. And again, we're all doing one or the other. Some people walk down the street, they look up at the sky and they go, oh, I'm so glad to be alive. Thank you, God, for this beautiful day, or whatever. They just Other people walk down the street, they look up at the sky and they go, I just know it's going to rain. And I'm not talking about optimism and pessimism. I'm talking about, how we motivate ourselves. The internal conversations we have. Well, there are external conversations as well that our culture has, that our media has, that our politicians have. Moving away from pain motivation strategies are what are typically used toward the end of a campaign because they do provoke instant movement, right? You poke somebody with a stick, they will jump. You give them a shock, they will jump. But you do it 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 times, and eventually they get exhausted. And they say, yeah, I ain't jumping no more. So moving away from pain is the most powerful short-term strategy. But on the other hand, moving toward pleasure is actually the most powerful long-term strategy. The message that Bernie Sanders is putting out of expanding Social Security by lifting the cap so that we can more effectively cover everybody and have the program solvent forever and actually increase benefits, increase the cost of living, come up with a cost of living calculation method that actually reflects the costs of people who are on Social Security, whether it be a 20-year-old on Social Security disability or widow or orphans benefits or such for a 10-year-old, or whether it be a retired person over 62, whatever it may be. That's moving toward pleasure, right? Giving everybody in the country health insurance. That's moving toward pleasure. Making sure that we have free public education in all of our state-run universities and junior colleges, community colleges. That's moving toward pleasure. Moving toward pleasure things tend not to cause the media to sit up and go, "Whoa, really?" Because they're like driven by pain, right? They're if it bleeds, it leads is an old cliche from local television media back in the 60s that I remember. It's like it's all about moving away from pain. But moving toward pleasure is actually a stronger strategy over time. Just like gravity is a much weaker force than electricity. Electricity can make you stick your finger in an electrical outlet, you will jump across the room. But that's it. Try to defy gravity for a whole hour. Try to defy gravity for 30 seconds. I mean, you can stand up and defy gravity, but try to lift yourself 2 inches off the ground for 30 seconds. You can't do it. Gravity is the most powerful of the forces. It's the weakest of the forces that directly affects us. And moving toward pleasure, same deal. You are not going to hear moving toward pleasure tonight in the Republican debate, because that's what the Republicans are not about, offering people things, right? In fact, they deride that. But Jeb Bush, oh yeah, those people just want free stuff. And those people, as I recall, was, minorities or poor people or both. So the Republican Party is all about moving away from pain. And tonight we're going to see a spectacle of all of the various kinds of pain they want to inflict on us. Democratic Party is all about moving toward pleasure, and our media doesn't seem to give a rat's ass about that. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here, and please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.